Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Tonight, we're talking about the Nancy Guthrie case, some information on the glove that came back, and are we being duped? Is this person who took Nancy Guthrie intentionally trying to throw us off? I'll explain on the other side of this.
I've walked through storms and scars and grace. Smile through pain with a painted face. They call me too loud, too much, too strong.
Feeling better, Robin?
But honey, that's the reason I belong. Every scar's a scripture, every tear's a hymn. I found my worth where the light grew dim. They tried to break me, but here's a twist. I turned my pain into a clenched fist. I'm an unbreakable woman, born of fire and pearl. I shine like grace in a reckless world. You can test my faith, you can shake my plan, but I'll rise again. Just watch me judged by the gloss, not the cause. But God don't build weak hearts from gold. He made me fierce and he made me bold. I bend, I pray, I roar, I rise with mascara, tears and battle cries. Don't need your crown, I forge my own. From ashes, honey, I build my throne. I'm an unbreakable soul, dressed in truth and pearls. The fire don't scare me, it lights my world. You can doubt my voice, but you'll hear my name. I'm holy and hood, and I'm done with shame. For everyone called too much, too loud, too real. You're not to anything. You're exactly what power looks like. I'm an unbreakable soul, through the fight and flame. My scars are stories, my strength, my faith. Faith in my heart, fire in my curls, forever divine. Clutch them pearls.
And the clutch, better tighten the pearls. Drop the cold facts, got the truth for the world. No smoke, no fluff, just the real that we trust. Hold on to your seat, cause I'm coming in clutch. Coming in clutch. Coming in clutch, better tighten the pearls. Dropping cold facts, got the truth for the world. No smoke, no fluff, just the real that we trust.
see you, widow.
Hold on to your seat, cause I'm coming in clutch. Coming in clutch.
Well, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me. Really do appreciate your time. You could have chosen to be anywhere on YouTube. You have a lot of options, anywhere on the internet, anywhere in the world, and you chose to be right here. I know your time is very valuable, and I do appreciate you spending some time with me. Today is March 4th, 2026. It is currently 7:55 p.m. on the East Coast of the United States. Bonjour. Hello, just me, Lolo, Charlotte, Robin. Hope you're feeling better, my dear. Leslie, Peggy, Tony, um, keeping it real, Wild Angel, Roxy, Widow. We do see you, darling. Carmen, good to see you, honey. Linda, Peggy, Scorpio, Pam. Who else do we got? Patty, Linda, Crazy Buck, Larry, Adele, Leslie, always keeping it real. A little this, a little that. Forget me not. Never could, never will. Shayna, good to see you, honey. Good to see everyone. Tonight we're talking about the Nancy Guthrie case and some new information that is out in the Nancy Guthrie case. And we're going to go over that first. And then very interesting conversation that we're going to have about the Nancy Guthrie case. Is this person or persons trying to throw us off? It's very confusing about how and where the blood is related to the case outside at the door. We know it's Nancy's, but how did it get there? How did this person get in the home? And a lot to talk about. So, guys, before we get started, if you don't mind, do me a big favor and please hit that thumbs up button. Would greatly, greatly appreciate it. Also, share the live out, would mean so very much to me as well. So, the glove. Let's start with the new news that's kind of coming out about the Nancy Guthrie case. As you and I and all of us know, that there was a lot of different gloves found in the area when Nancy when Nancy went missing, right? And of course they tested them and all that, and one of them has came back. The DNA sample oops, wait, wrong one. Let me find it right here. Bear with me. The testing has came back, and this is from a restaurant worker. We're gonna go to Brian Ensign for this. He kind of talks about it a little bit here, just a little bit ago.
I'm still in Tucson, Arizona, covering the Nancy Guthrie case. Wanted to give you some updates. I just confirmed with the sheriff that remember that glove that was found 2.5 miles from Nancy Guthrie's house, the glove that seemed to match the glove that the suspect was wearing in the surveillance photo. Well, it turns out that DNA came back and it is not a match to a suspect.
It is not a match to a suspect. The way that was worded, I don't know if that was worded intentionally, but we don't have any suspects, do we? Is it just me? Or how is he worded?
It is actually a match to a local restaurant worker who the sheriff says has nothing to do with the Nancy Guthrie case.
So this restaurant worker, and this is the thing, you got to think about this as well. These gloves and just random trash, whenever they can come out of garbage trucks or whatever, whenever they're going by, it slips out of the garbage truck, hauling trash, people littering. There's a lot of different ways that these gloves and other trash can get out there.
So kind of more just another dead end on the DNA front. Again, the glove, you guys remember, was like a big deal when they found the glove 2.5 miles away, said it was a match, like looks wise, to the glove the suspect wore. It is not a DNA match to a suspect. It is a restaurant worker. I've honestly just sort of not had much faith in any of these gloves just because there's so many black gloves laying around. I don't know. And I don't think the suspect would just throw his gloves on the side of the road. But now we know for sure that it's not a match. So that's the latest. I've got some more news I'm working on that I'll have for you guys later, but I'll talk to you guys later.
That would be pretty dumb, don't you think? That would be pretty dumb for them to just to throw their glove on the side of the road. CRM says, I never expected it to match anyone in the case. There is an awful lot of people who use them for many things. Yeah. I mean, I use them when I clean. I use the gloves when I clean. Mine are like a purplish blue collar or something like that. Bo, thank you so much for 18 months. Love you. Appreciate you very much. Hello. Thank you for your continued support. Really do appreciate that, my dear. Thank you so much, Bo. Good to see you, my friend. Okay, and before we get into the meat and potato of everything for tonight's live, I do want to go over a few things to just kind of catch up. Spoke with the trash truck from Waste Management. This is coming from our friend JLR. He is the regular driver for Nancy Guthrie's neighborhood. He said authorities have never spoken with him. I want to hear your thoughts on that. Is this something that they should have spoken with the trash truck guy, or you just don't think it's heading in that direction that they needed to speak with the trash truck guy? I think it would depend also whenever, in my opinion, whenever the trash truck normally ran, right? So I think it's possible that they may have needed to speak to him, but also I think sorry, I've got my windows open and there's something loud going by. There is, I think it just really depends on whenever everything needs cleared, in my opinion. I agree, but let's say Nancy's, let's say it was 4 days before, for instance, 4 days before Nancy went missing. Would it matter? Would it matter? Maybe, maybe. Also, a digital analyst who worked on the Kohlberger case noted that if a suspect had a phone with Wi-Fi enabled, Nancy Guthrie's home router logs may have recorded it. And this is what we call a handshake or a ping. Smartphones are constantly scanning, any smart devices really with Bluetooth or Wi-Fi capabilities are constantly trying to discover networks by sending probe requests while searching for the connections. I call it a handshake. We've obviously done this in many, many other cases as well, meaning the device can briefly appear in router logs, even if the accounts never really connect, right? I think Nerdy Attic shared this out. And so if your Wi-Fi or your Bluetooth is on, even if you don't know the password to something, it's still always scanning, always scanning. If you're walking down the street in your neighborhood or down the street and window shopping, wherever, your phone and smart devices is constantly saying, okay, what's around me? What's around me? And it's going to say, hey, I'm here. And it's going to send that little handshake or that ping. We have not heard anything in the Nancy Guthrie case that, that may, if the phone was off, these perpetrators' phones was off, will it matter so much? Not really, most likely, but your vehicle does it as well now. There's a lot of things that do it.
Think of treating your phones, your cameras, your computers as a crime scene. We dig in to uncover the truth.
Heather Barnhart is a digital forensics expert who worked on the Brian Koberger investigation. She helped build the case against him by tracking his cell phone data on the route between his home and the scene of the murders. She says it's likely the person who took Nancy Guthrie also left a digital footprint.
How do you think digital forensics will be able to be used in this Nancy Guthrie case?
Think about the digital traces that we leave behind with every single thing we do every day. Your phone is constantly pinging cell towers. Even if you turn it off, that creates a period of interest. So once a
Yes.
person of interest is
Yes. And this is the thing. This is the thing. And it's a very good point. You're damned if you do and kind of damned if you don't. If you're doing a crime. Because most of us, I would say 99% of us, keep our phone on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We never let it die. If it does die, it doesn't die for very long. And for instance, we all have patterns. If that pattern is broke, your phone is turned off for a significant amount of time, and a crime happened and they're investigating you for a crime, your phone is not off regularly like this, that's going to send some big red flags up, right? And if you do keep your phone on, for instance, and you go commit a crime, well, it's going to tell you A, that you're in the area, and B, it's probably trying to connect to the 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 victim's router or neighbors routers or whatever as well. So it's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't, which is a good thing. A good thing, gets them caught up.
identified, the fact that their phone is no longer pinging any tower is of interest. Even if you're out on the street in front of my house, chances are good that your phone will ping my Wi-Fi. And some people's routers will actually track devices that were potentially connected. Think of treating your phones, your cameras, your computers as a crime scene. We dig in to uncover the truth.
Heather Barnhart is a digital forensics expert who worked on the Brian Koberger investigation. She helped build the case against him by tracking his cell phone data on the route between his home and the scene of the murders.
AMG.
She says it's likely the person who took Nancy Guthrie also left a digital footprint.
It's very possible, very likely that they left a digital footprint, because think about this. This vehicle, AMG says, would Nancy's phone have picked up the signal from the perp's car? Very likely. However, just thinking about this, Nancy's phone was turned off, right? Nancy's phone was turned off. So it could have picked it up before the crime took place, like the perpetrator pulled up next to the garage or outside. And then if Nancy's phone was scanning during this time, again, they're constantly looking some are every 30 seconds, some are every 2 minutes. If Nancy's phone was scanning in the middle of the night and a vehicle was left on outside, very, very possible. But not only that, as this person was moving in the neighborhood with their vehicle, right? Other routers is going to be pinging, shaking hands with this vehicle, most likely, as long as it's a newer type of vehicle, right? So yeah, geofencing. I've wondered if they had to hide Nancy due to something major. We don't know. We're going to get deep into that here in just a few minutes. We don't know. In making it appear she was kidnapped, etc., to throw off whomever may actually be after her. This is a deeply rooted grievance. Whatever happened, and you got to understand what, we think, who could do this to an 84-year-old? That's the question we all ask. Who could do this to an 84-year-old? Like, what could an 84-year-old do? But you got to understand what we might find a grievance with or not find a grievance with. This person or persons may. You don't know what will piss a person off, right? You just never know what's going to piss someone off. Or what is going to drive them to desperation. Okay. And that is a big, big question. Nancy is such a pretty elder woman. Yeah, bless her heart. So, hello, Sarah. Hello, always late. Could have been years in the making. Absolutely. I was wondering about Savannah's old schoolmate. Mm, I mean, it could be years in the making. I think we're going to get to it in just a second. I think a lot of us whoever this is pretty close, lives pretty close to Nancy, in my opinion. Or they have at least some really deep ties close to Nancy, in my opinion.
How do you think digital forensics will be able to be used in this Nancy Guthrie case?
Think about the digital traces that we leave behind with every single thing we do every day. Your phone is constantly pinging.
Oops. All right. We already played that. All that. Okay. All right. So there's that right there. Yesterday we went over Mary Daly and what's his name? Mr. Daly's interview that they did with Brianna Whitney, Luke Daly. That was very interesting how he was speaking on the case here. Okay, now I want to go over. We're going to get in some deep things tonight, so just stick around. But first, I want to go over something because, again, I can never stress enough. Sheriff Doofy is what I call him. The first night that he spoke out on this case, he is outside. This is before really anybody knows anything. And it's so valuable because this is when he was yapping. Remember? He says some very interesting things. It's just a few minutes long. But from the get-go, they know it's a crime and homicide is there. So just listen to this, and then we're going to get into something very, very interesting. It's really low. Is not of good physical health, and so. Okay, I might go back and we'll go back and listen to that in a little bit. I'll try to find one that's a little bit louder because you can't really hear him much there, can you? Could y'all not hear him very well? Luke Daly is a very short dude, according to former FBI agent Jennifer Coffeneffer. I don't know how tall he is. I can't remember. I could look on his police reports and see. Okay, here we go. Let's go to this. We're going to go to our friend Chris McDonough from the interview room last night. Very, very interesting here. Mods, please drop Chris McDonough's the interview room link every few minutes if you don't mind. Also, for the replay crew, Chris's link is in the description. Want to show you something here that I've got some comments on right here. Let me fast forward to the time.
Early on with this, I ruled out burglary. I ruled out robbery.
This is Dan Stover, retired Chicago homicide detective. And obviously, Chicago has a very, very high crime rate. He's seen a lot, right? He's absolutely seen a lot. And listen to what he says. He says in his opinion, he robbed out burglary in the beginning, pretty much.
Based on, you're not going to take the lady unless you were trying to get something for her, but not necessarily like a ransom type deal. I'm kind of leaning more towards like, I'd like to know, is there, did she have a will? Did she have an insurance policy? If so, who are the beneficiaries? I'd like to know that information. I think that's critical information.
Now that's something we've been asking for quite a long time, right? It has never seemed, in my opinion, like the ransom thing really meant anything. It could have been one or two of them could have been legit. Again, why haven't they all been arrested? The FBI said that they would all be arrested, or if someone was faking a ransom letter. But we've always said since the get-go, if this was about money, ransom letter, you're going to leave a letter at the home. You're going to leave a letter. Not only are you going to leave a letter, you're going to want to keep everything as tidy as possible inside. You're going to want to take her medicine. You're going to want to keep her alive. And you're going to want to get rid of her as fast as possible. Give me my money. Here she is. Kumbaya. Let's move on down the road. Someone with the ransom that writes a ransom letter, they don't wait several days afterwards. They're not there to elderly sit or anything. They're there to get their money and move on. Right? Not something
okay
to see here.
Maureen, what are you thinking?
Interesting. My thought on this came into focus when you guys had Cece Moore on the other day. And she was saying, now I'm pretty familiar with forensic genetic genealogy because the guy that she mentioned, the FBI lawyer, Steve Kramer, is a good friend of mine. And I've known him since he started with the Bureau. And he's the one who just thought up the concept one time while he was at a DNA conference because he's just always been interested in it. And he was like, oh, I wonder if I could, they're talking about DNA and family trees. And he's like, what if we put offender DNA in there? I wonder if we could do that. And it was born, I believe, out of something along those lines. So anyhow, when I was listening to Cece Moore the other night, she said something I'd never heard her say before. I'd never heard anyone say in this. And that is that when she's looking for people, I know that she goes to the great grandparents and they come down and they try to find the sons and which son could it be or whatever. And she said she always, or 90-something%, Karen, you nailed it. You got a definitive answer, but it was some crazy number, like 90% of the offenders are right there, like right in the neighborhood, which I know that it makes more sense that they're in Chicago, let's say, versus St. Louis when you're in Chicago. But when she said no, it's like right there within blocks almost.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very interesting. Didn't you?
Listen to this.
Karen, what was that number? Do you remember?
It was in the 90s, 90% that she said.
Listen.
That's who the perps end up being. They're not from out of state. They're not from, 10, 15, 30 miles away. She said it's in that like immediate area.
Yeah. Over 90-some% chance that this person is within. Did I freeze? I hope not. Maybe. I hope not. But whoever this is likely within that vicinity. And one thing that that we was talking about last night that kind of struck me as weird is, and I'm not blaming anyone in no way, shape, or form. I want to make that clear. But when Luke said, I didn't know really anything about this case. My mom told me about the case, and I didn't realize she lived so closely. I'm paraphrasing. That was a little weird to me because I would think, because not only this is a national case, let alone it's an international case, huge, you would think if someone lived within 2 miles of you, that you would know a little bit more about this case. I find that very hard to believe. And then he said something that was very interesting to me as well. When he got pulled over, right? When he got pulled over, he said, oh, well, this must be about the Guthrie case. If you're not really keeping up on it and you're not familiar with it and you don't know where she actually lives, why would you be thinking that you would be getting pulled over? You know what I mean? Again, not blaming him, but those were some red flags for me last night. It was off, several things there, but it could be he was absolutely just nervous. I don't know. But to me, you're going to, I don't know.
Do you find that to be true, Dan?
Yes, I do.
Wow.
Absolutely.
Really interesting. So then you can take the,
Justin, he said that his mom told him, and that that's how he found out. But then his mom says she doesn't watch social media. Yeah, she said she watches the news, though, to be fair, but she said she did not watch social media. He does, is what she said. So yeah, I don't see how, another thing about this, I don't see how you could be local and especially be that close, and the algorithm, if you're on social media, not show you that Nancy was missing and where she lived. Because where you are geographically affects your algorithm to your local news. Number one, right? Because it's your local, you know people locally, people share out things locally, and then just the algorithm itself is going to share things out to you locally. So I don't, it's a little weird to me, if you ask me. Guys, if you're just joining us, please do me a big solid and hit that thumbs up button. Greatly appreciate you all being here today. If you would share the live out, would mean so much as well. Thank you all so much for being here. Watching, commenting here on our friend Chris from the interview room and his beautiful wife Karen. They have Jim Fitzgerald up, Maureen OC, and Dan Stover, a retired
the perp came across the border from Mexico and drove up an hour and a half to Tucson. You could probably take that off the table.
Yeah, I pretty much took that. I know you got to consider everything. Right. Everything's got to be looked at, and there's so much that we don't know. None of us know that the investigators know, which that should be the way it is. We shouldn't know what they know. But I pretty much early on ruled out Mexico, the border.
I agree.
To me, that's a long drive. You're taking one heck of a gamble driving, and you got her in the car, and
she's bleeding.
Yeah, accident, stopped by the police, crossing the border. There's a lot that goes into that. I think it's just a very, very high risk. And then there was somebody that reported that they seen her alive on the other side of the border.
Widow.
And
same. I don't care if I lived in that neighborhood, city or not. If I got pulled over and I was not involved with the Nancy Guthrie case, and if I specifically was not really keeping up with it, I would think, oh, well, maybe a light's out, maybe I didn't signal, maybe I was speeding, maybe I don't know what the hell they're pulling me over for, but I'm not going to think it is for a missing 84-year-old woman whenever you say you have absolutely no knowledge or nothing to do with it. It just, I got pulled over Monday afternoon. Someone stole the sticker off my tag. I didn't know it. That happens. Yeah. I thought it was one of the best analysis so far. Stove looks like Sean Connery to me, very handsome. I will look to that. I will look at that. Yeah.
Somebody said, just keep your mouth shut. Don't. I wasn't buying into that story at all. I have a feeling that Nancy isn't far from home.
I agree.
Do
Okay.
you guys? Sorry, go ahead.
No, Fitch, weigh in here. What's your thought?
Yeah, both Dan and Maureen.
I mean, this is the thing. Most people who, I mean, I'll just tell you what I don't believe Nancy's alive. I would pray to and hope that she is, but I don't see it. I think she was most likely dead within a couple hours maximum after she was taken out of that home. In my opinion, she was probably unalive before she was taken out of that home, or very close to after being taken out of the home. But you got to think about this person, if they were just there to unalive them, and that was the goal for them to do this, most people aren't going to drive out 50 or 70 miles and put someone in a grave. They're going to go maybe a couple miles out or whatever, the edge of town, and then do it, because time really matters. Time really matters in things like this. So that's why it's almost always local.
Brought up very valid points, and I too rule out, as Dan did, the Mexican side of it, and again the traditional for-profit kidnapping, as I said earlier. This is not random. This person wasn't driving down the road, happened to have a mask and backpack and gun, and just found this house. This person was mission oriented.
Very, very. I totally agree with this. Very much mission oriented. If this person was there multiple nights, at least a night prior, we don't exactly know for sure, but I think that they were there previous. That also shows some level of what's the premeditation, right? So there is so many other homes and places that would be much easier for someone to do this to if this was random, right? And they just wanted to be evil, which most people just don't go unalive someone just to see them unalive. They do it for a purpose.
It may have thinking about it for weeks, months, potentially even years. Ray and I put a profile out of the Brown shooter, like in the 5th day. Actually, we were just about to do it. That Thursday is when the guy was found inside the storage facility, whatever. And we said, look, this guy has a grievance. He shot up Brown University for a reason. He shot up or he killed the MIT professor for a reason. I said, it goes back months or it goes back years. I wish I was prescient enough that I said it goes back 3 decades to Portugal and a whole continent away, when the shooter, first had a connection with that professor.
Surprised.
But even the shooting itself goes back 20.
I mean, it's possible. Nyla says, what if, meaning the suspect was hiding in the house and waited until later to awaken her? That's a possibility. I feel like this person was most likely, they came in and Nancy was most likely asleep and they overwhelmed her that way. That's personally how I feel. But you never know. I mean, they could have even, you could think about this. They could have came in the house when Nancy left, right, for the evening to go to dinner with her family, or play games and all that stuff. So it's very possible. Hey, Sarah Jane, thank you so much, baby. Appreciate you looking really do appreciate you. Lady Gifted too. Thank you so much, my love. If either one of you got one of those pearl necklaces, make sure you give our girl, Miss Sarah Jane, a big, big thank you. Thank you so much for your support, my love. Good to see you. Thank you for being a member. You get it? Okay, the Derek Cadella stuff is sus to me. His YouTube channel is called, really? I haven't looked at that yet. I've thought at every scenario, even if being like a Jussie Smollett kind of case, I hope she's found. Hey, Sassy, good to see you.
25 years. So now, and Kaczynski had the most bizarre reasons. They were long and deep rooted, but like the jets were flying over his head at 30,000 feet, leaving contrails. That's why his early victims were airlines and universities. We realized later that he was a professor, didn't like it. So these people can have these representational or grievances that they don't have any direct tie into. So having said all that, what is different about this case than any other abduction? And that is that the daughter happens to be famous and a multimillionaire. But yet it doesn't seem to be about money.
Exactly. And so think about this. If it doesn't seem to be about money, as far as it can be about money, but not be about money. And I think that's what they're trying to say here. The money, it may not be about the ransom, but it may be about money behind the scenes or some sort of grievance over it, right? So there's that. Hey, Bushi, good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much. I really do appreciate you, my guy. Under the truck, perp steals neighbor's car, smashed into my guy's truck that hit my truck, hit my van. Not even joking. It was so crazy. My guy under the truck, perp steals neighbor car. I don't know what you mean. By that, my dear. I'm sorry. I'm obviously misunderstanding it. What do you mean by that, Bushi? Like, did someone steal it or something, or hit your car, or? Oh, are you talking about? Hey, Daff, are you talking about the guy who wrecked his car? Yes, wrecking 3 vehicles in my yard. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. Your neighbor? That's as bad as Daniel Martell's driving.
So somewhere in that family, they have to mine every single email any one of them ever received or sent, going back 5 to 10 years. And certainly with Savannah, in terms of who may have been emailing her, some fan, some innocent person, seemingly innocent person who just wants her autograph, an 8x10 glossy.
Again, I disagree with this gentleman right here. In my opinion, if this was some, and Dr. Vaughn and I talked about it the other night as well, if this was some random crackpot who was obsessed with Savannah or whatever, they're not going to have help. They're just not going to have help, in my opinion. Right? Some random person, it's a lone wolf. They do it by themselves. It's nothing that someone's going to help.
And, things like that.
I disagree with
and
you.
I'm hoping they're doing that, because I just can't rule out that the answer doesn't lie somewhere in there. Perhaps somebody obsessed with Savannah, and they couldn't get to her, or close up in her guarded building in Manhattan. So instead, what's the next best thing? The mother, and the person may have had a connection with Tucson. May have known that area from previous part of their life for whatever reason. Failed things. Distinctly remember Venn diagram.
Agree completely.
Yeah.
And somewhere they had a cross.
So even though she didn't know she hurt anybody, you hurt me at.
Listen to this.
Oh, Savannah, you hurt me, even though she didn't know she hurt anybody. You hurt me.
It's basically this. I certainly worked the whole nation, knowing through VICAP to some show that 20 times removed from a direct family member, but not so far removed perhaps from Savannah, and that's who this person is. And the fantasy is, I can't have the daughter, I can't have the kids, thank God, Next best thing is the mom who lives in the middle of nowhere, just about.
I disagree.
No cameras,
with him.
or at least not one that's hooked up to a subscription. Maybe they even knew that. And then take her out, and could things have gone bad right away? And like Dan said, she's somewhere within a mile of the house right now.
Thank you so much, Susan. Appreciate you, my dear. Great channel, and everyone gets along. God bless. Thank you so much, Susan. Appreciate you. My mods, they do such a good job in trying to make everyone feel good and comfortable here. So thank you so much.
And she's been there the whole time? Or does this get really bizarre and somehow the person is keeping her in some kind of a safe room and has conversations with her? What was your daughter like? You know, I'm in love with her. I'm not saying this is the answer, but this is something that the investigators have to look into. And this goes back to Savannah's victimology and everyone who's ever emailed her basically over the last, I'll say 10 years. And then if they got to go back farther, they can do that. I was in New York real quick at my first 7 years in the Bureau, New York City, and on a bank robbery squad. We also did extortions, and we were getting threat cases all the time from NBC New York. It was a retired NYPD guy. I knew him from the bank robbery squad, a buddy of his.
Because Annie's got a big, strong guy living with her.
Okay, listen to this.
Yeah, well, is he there all the time? Agree with you, Jim. You do have to look at everything.
This is very
because Annie's got a big, strong guy living with her.
Yeah, well, is he there all the time? Is she always with him 24 hours a day? I doubt it, but
right.
I guess what I'm saying is I'm not really buying into that. You do have to consider it. You got to investigate it. But me personally, my gut's telling me, and I don't think that's the direction, but who knows? Maybe it is.
So let me throw a couple of curveballs into the timeline here with the panel. Okay. Now, this is the released timeline from the sheriff.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And we know, based on what he has said in these press conferences, he's cleaned it up just a little bit. So, but I have the dates and times in terms of the numbers down here.
It's about to get really interesting right here.
The day, Saturday at 5:32 p.m.
Listen to these times.
Nancy is picked up by an Uber and taken to Annie's house for dinner and games. At 9:48 p.m., she's brought back to the house. At first, it was by both Annie and Tommaso, and now it is Tommaso.
That is true. That is true. At first, that's what we heard, that it was Annie and Tommaso. Then we heard it was just Tommaso. Okay. And again, I want to make it clear, I'm not blaming anybody or anything. The sheriff has said multiple things that nobody was cleared, not even the family. Then he said they were cleared, and then he said they were cleared for now. But I still think that there's a lot of weird things that has happened with Annie and Tommaso's home and the story. My opinion. I'll talk about that in a second.
They have a data point of 9:48 of the garage door opening.
Okay. What time was it that she went there? She left at 5:32. Nancy travels to the family member's home in an Uber. 9:48 is when the family drops off Nancy off at her home, and then the garage door opens at 9:50, 2 minutes later. Okay. The next time we have anything on the timeline is 1:47 a.m. And that's when, obviously, there's a crime being committed or about to be committed, because it's 1:47 in the morning. Right? So we're about 2 hours and 50 minutes later, there's a crime being committed.
assumed it was from an app, typically, a remote type of app where you can open the garage, because the manual clicker will not give you a data point, but the app will on the phone. At 9:50, the second data point comes in, the garage door closing. That is a 2-minute gap. In that time, the sheriff has said two different things. The first, he said she was dropped off. The son-in-law watched her go in. The garage door closed. So I'm assuming either he has it on his phone or she has it on her phone, because once she got out of the car as the passenger.
Really? I didn't realize I didn't know that the sheriff said that Tommaso went in with him. I don't recall hearing that.
Walking into the house, there was a data point created, not the clicker from the wall in the garage, where grandma would have walked up to the wall and hit it and gone into the house.
I got to hear that again.
Created, not the clicker, the house phone, or she has it on her phone, because once she got out of the car as the passenger, walking into the house, there was a data point created, not the clicker from the wall in the garage.
That's very interesting. So, like if you have a garage, there's usually a button you can push, and it's just like a wired button that goes to your garage door to open it or close it. You manually press it, right? Or you have a clicker inside your car. Those don't create data points. And that's a very, very interesting point Chris is talking here. The only way there's going to be data is if it is through a phone or an app, right? That's the only two ways that I can think of. And that's how they know the 2 minutes. Because if you just press the clicker, that just sends a signal, because it's in the radius. It's not an internet generated or anything. It's kind of like a walkie-talkie. It's a frequency that sends that. So that's a very interesting point right there. I can't see Nancy using an app, Tina says. I don't know. A lot of people talk about, and they say, well, 2 minutes, that doesn't seem like enough time for an 84-year-old woman. I think a lot can happen in 2 minutes, in my opinion. But get this is very interesting.
Where grandma would have walked up to the wall and hit it and gone into the house, and the garage door would have closed behind her. So that was,
Chris,
go.
Chris, I think there's a little, there's room for innuendo in there.
Go.
From what my tech expert told me that works on my team, he said it depends on how the app is configured. So you can configure it so that on my app, I can open it like this, or if I open it, you can configure it so another clicker will show up on your app. It depends on the opener and the configuration.
Okay.
So there is a way where you can do one and maybe add one other one so you can see when it's opening and closing. And maybe,
I mean, the app will tell you when your garage door is opening and closing. And you can absolutely have more than one, I'll say, account or clicker, like through your device. There can be, because more than one person many times use the garage.
it's Savannah that was driving that. Like, I just want to see if her garage is open at night or something along those lines. But you can also have those two things and have it where the keypad opens by itself, or the little one that, that little one that fits in your purse doesn't show that it opens or closes. So there's a myriad of different ways that these things can be configured. We don't know what that is right now, but and I remember the chief saying one other thing, or the sheriff saying one other thing, and that is they pulled up.
Listen to this.
Got her into the house, got her settled, and then left. And the door went down in 2 minutes. And that's the one where I was like, you can't do that in 2 minutes.
The sheriff said that? Hold on. I got to go back.
Ways that these things can be configured.
Let's listen.
We don't know what that is right now, but and I remember the chief saying one other thing, or the sheriff saying one other thing, and that is they pulled up, got her into the house, got her settled, and then left. And
well, again, that's very interesting. That's very interesting. First, they said, again, Tommaso and Annie dropped her off. Then it was just Tommaso. And got her settled. Well, again, you're not going to get an 84-year-old woman in there, get her settled in 2 minutes. Now, if you just let her go in by herself, she could do it in 2 minutes, I would think, but not getting her, like if you're taking her in there and getting her settled. No. And again, I'll be honest with you. I find it extremely strange, in my opinion, that out of all the nights that this happened, it happened right after she was dropped off by family members. I find that very bizarre, my opinion.
The door went down in 2 minutes. And that's the one where I was like, you can't do that in 2 minutes in my...
And he also said night one, when he was outside getting interviewed in the dark, a reporter said, did the family walk her inside the home? And he answered yes.
Yeah.
They said the family. He said initially the family, and then later changed that to just Tommaso.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Am I correct on that?
Right. And
but the sheriff, he has been so full of contradicting statements. You don't know what's up from down with him.
And we're giving him grace because obviously, the situation's kind of unfolding, right? We've all been there.
For sure.
Now the next data point that we have, outside of what they haven't recovered in terms of the metadata on the video that everybody has seen now, with the guy coming up on the porch that Jim was talking about in terms of his behavioral assessment, is 1:47 a.m. The sheriff reports doorbell Nest camera disconnects. And this one, the next point that he makes has not made sense to me. I mean, I understand what he's saying. Next, the sheriff reports doorbell Nest camera disconnects. And this one, the next point that he makes has not made sense to me.
Okay, so at 1:47, the doorbell camera disconnects. The next timestamp we have is at 2:12 a.m. And that is the camera software detects a person. 2:12. The camera software detects a person. And it's a little confusing. It's a lot confusing.
I mean, I understand what he's saying, but it hasn't made sense in the sequence. Is he goes 2:12 a.m.
Yes.
Person seen on camera. But then he qualifies that with, but we don't have that video because it went to a server.
Yes.
And not to a cloud. He said that in the press conference, which was pretty confusing to the public. It was, it was somewhat, I think still even today, kind of mystery meat sitting out there.
That's one of the thumbnail, like when when you get that alert via email,
Thank you so much, Robert. Terrible sheriff reminds me of Ronnie Lawson. I know he's. I think there's a lot of pride here. Yes, and that would be about 20 minutes, Deborah, between the doorbell camera disconnects, and then about 20 minutes, 18 to 20 minutes later, the camera software detects a person.
It'll have what's known as a little thumbnail photo, one of those little photos, and it just says something happened, and then it's like log in and see what happened. But it just has that small photo. But that image should still be on someone's phone.
Right.
It should still be on. It should be discoverable. But what do I?
Right. You would say that again.
It should still be on.
Someone's
it should
phone.
Be discoverable, but what do I know?
And so then the next big point here is 2:28
Yes.
a.m.
Listen to this.
And this is where the victim's pacemaker application disconnects from her Apple Watch.
So 2:28, the pacemaker app disconnects from the phone, right? It disconnects from the phone. So this person or persons is trying to destroy said cameras before they're either going in or taking her out of the home, one or the other, right? Thank you, Robert. Thank you so much for gifting a comment. I really do appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much. You received that. Make sure you give Robert a big thank you. Thank you so much, Robert. Do appreciate your support, my friend. If Annie's car has not yet been released, in my opinion, that means Ellie is still processing evidence. Tommaso drive Nancy in Annie's car. Well, they haven't actually said which car that I'm aware of. But again, the question is, and think about this, we have Carlos, where they did a search and vehicles. We have Mr. Daly, who they did a home search and vehicle. All of those vehicles have been returned. Allegedly, from everything that we know right now, and I think Chris and Karen speak about this here in just a second, that vehicle of allegedly Annie's has not been returned. And that's very strange to me. Because if you drop someone off, right, and they're unalived in their house, why do you need the car? Whenever, yeah, they were in your car, but the crime didn't happen in your car. You just dropped them off. I understand they might check it. I get that. They're going to check it just to rule anything out. But again, once they say that they don't have anything with that vehicle, you return it. And that's something that they have seemingly not done. And again, they have been in Annie and Tommaso's place multiple times. One time that we know that they were there 3 hours taking stuff. Again, not saying they're involved in any way, shape, or form, but it's generally they keep going back for something. Like I said, when we were a couple weeks ago, I think I was live with Daphne then, JLR ran over there because all of the FBI agents ran straight over to that neighborhood, started looking at neighbors' cameras, right? Started going in and out of like campers and all of that, looking around the neighborhood right outside of their yards, backyards, wanting to know cameras, all of that. So it's a little weird. Hey John, thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate you. And why even worry about someone dismantling a camera after you've already all over it? Yeah. It's a little interesting to me because, like, this is the thing. If I'm trying to put myself in the mind of the perpetrator, right? If I'm doing this crime, right, and I have a grievance with someone in the house, and you're going in there to unalive them, right? You don't know if they have a subscription on that doorbell camera unless you know they have a subscription or someone has told you whether they have a subscription on that camera or not. So if they have a subscription on that camera, you can take that camera and you can smash it into 1 billion pieces, but the data will still be in the cloud, right? If you know that they don't have a subscription, right, then you still might take the camera and destroy it or whatever. So authorities couldn't get a hold of that and maybe, get some data. But it makes me wonder, did this person know or were they informed that Nancy did not have a paid subscription? Very interesting. Whoever it is, they know more, in my opinion.
He doesn't say it was her pacemaker, the app disconnected from the watch.
It went out of range. Yeah.
It's out of range, we assume, right? And because it's still going to be moving. And also that Nest camera, if they dislocated that Nest camera and they had that video, that is not hardwired. It's running on a battery. So it's still recording while the suspect has taken that off of the wall. Okay. And so they have that, I'm assuming, that data as well. So if the suspect put it in his backpack, if he...
Yes. And I showed you this video that Megyn Kelly did the other day. And so any sort of motion, the camera is going to be recording. When this camera was taken off the bracket by the door, it would have still been recording until it was out of Wi-Fi range. And if they have that, remember, these cameras have audio as well. So they could have someone's voice, or they could hear Nancy or whatever. You never know. That was a very interesting experiment that Megyn Kelly did the other day. 33, thank you so much, my friend. Appreciate you. I think he's a random sicko who specifically targeted her for SA and unaliving because he somehow came in contact with her and saw she's an easy target. Really? I mean, there are people that think it's random. I don't think it's random, and I don't think it's SA motivated either, personally. Just my opinion. Again, this person, we're reportedly hearing that they came before this even happened. maybe a day, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks before. SA or R is generally a very impulsive thing. It's nothing generally you plan. It's something that they do in pretty much the moment. So that's my opinion on it, but it could be random. We never know. We never know. Thank you so much, 33. Appreciate you. Linda, welcome to the panel family. Appreciate you, my friend. Welcome. Good to see you. Thank you so much for joining. Really do appreciate you. Someone specifically searched Nancy's info prior, that is true, to the disappearance, from what I understand. Yes, it was, I can't remember how long it was before, but it was
with him
minute.
inside the crime scene or anything like that. They may have data on that. And we're just not aware of it.
Yeah, they may have audio.
Yeah, and audio. Great point. Okay, so now the next big movement in the...
And that's, Amy, that's a good point. The longer you're in a home or whatever, the more likely you are to leave DNA.
Case is 11 a.m. the following morning. Nancy, the victim, does not show up for this recorded church service that she and her friends religiously watch together. And it's the same church that Savannah attends, Jim, to your point, in New York City, in Manhattan. Okay. And so they all gather around, and Annie gathers around with her friends to watch this pastor and this church service.
You mean Nancy?
Nancy, I'm sorry, Nancy, my bad. I'm married so far up, you can't see straight. So anyway, so they watch this together. She does not show up, and a phone call is made. Initially, the sheriff says, well, it was around 11-ish.
You know, I've made the point, Deborah, Justin, who would have called elderly abuse team out to leave a card in the door, Nancy ? A few days before. So I've made the point where the number one type of elderly abuse is financial. It happens by the millions. You know, I've made the point before where, for instance, let's say a nephew or a neighbor kept abusing Nancy financially, right? I need to pay a bill, Nancy. Please give me the money. Please give me the money. And they keep on and they keep on and they keep on. And someone, for instance, catches wind of that, right? Mom or Aunt Nancy, I hear you keep giving someone money. You've got to cut them off. No more, right? I think that, and many times someone could call, you know, elderly, what's the word? Adult protection services, and say she's being manipulated, she's being abused. And if you cut someone off financially, especially if they're on drugs or they're desperate, that can infuriate someone. They didn't want to get in trouble. They were embarrassed. They didn't want family to know. Those things can happen too. They happen all the time. Just remember, we were saying Nancy had to Uber to Annie's. That's pretty cold. I wonder if Nancy paid for her own Uber. Ubers aren't cheap. They're not cheap. Not cheap.
The family gets the phone call, and immediately they go over to the house looking for mom.
Mm-hmm.
He does not tell how they made point of entry into.
And why have not they released this 911 call yet? Why not release the 911 call? It's a 911 call. Like, you're just hearing, saying, we're here at the house. There's something wrong. What was said in that
To the
911 call?
house. All he said was initially the back door was left open. Okay. And then the next piece of this puzzle, the next time frame he gives, is he adjusts that time frame to 11:56. So that was a 56-minute error. Okay.
Now, listen to that.
He adjusts that time frame to 11:50, the next time frame he gives.
Hold
And
on.
then the next piece of this puzzle, the next time frame he gives, is he adjusts that time frame to 11:56. So that was a 56-minute error. Okay. Which I'm, in my own mind, I'm still questioning that thought process. I think there's a gap in there where he does not want to tell the public how the family got into the house. And I've questioned, because if they came through the front door.
Yes. And it's very important. It's very important. Like, if you came through the front door, especially if there's more than one person, you're going to see that blood, right? You're going to see that blood. You might notice the doorbell camera is not there. The back door allegedly open. It's a little weird, in my opinion, how we're obviously not getting all the details about how the family got in. Obviously, they have, I'm sure, keys and pin, for the door, or cameras, or, not cameras, but how to get in the house. So it's a little odd. Again, maybe I'm sure we're not being told stuff, and maybe that's why we're not understanding it correctly. But from just what we know from here, it's a little weird. Another day, thank you so much, my friend. Maybe she got out of the car. Maybe it broke. Maybe she never got out of the car. Maybe it broke if he put the phone in the house at 2 a.m. The phone would still ping at that address. It would. It would. I think Chris is going to talk here in a minute about the blood, and that's what I really want to go over as well in this, because we know that's Nancy's blood, and I still think it's a high level of not being probable that it was planted, but it can be done. And we're going to look at some pictures on that as well. But again, just a few hours after she's dropped off, which to me, she's dropped off a little late, in my opinion. But did she walk in that house? Did she walk in that house? Could have something happened at dinner? Could something have happened on the way home? Could someone have been infuriated and just came back? I don't know. I really don't know. Hey, Linda, thank you again, honey. Appreciate you very much. Anyone else think that this could be a sting op where SG's hubby in all of this? No. I don't. Personally, I don't. No. Like current husband? Is that what you mean? Or former? Either way, I really don't think so. Is the pacemaker trying her to the house? Yes, it is.
They're going to see the blood pattern out there. If they went through the garage, we're going to have a data point, which we don't have.
Thank you.
Unless they use the keypad or a clicker that wasn't configured to.
And that's the only thing, and she makes such an amazing point there, because we was just talking about when the garage door was open the previous night, like when Nancy got home. Okay. And that time frame was 9:48 is when the family or Tommaso drops Nancy off. The garage door opens. 2 minutes later, the garage door closes. We have an actual timestamp on that. Think about that. We know that happened, but we don't have any data points like it was opened with an app whenever Tommaso and Annie get there. We do again the night before, but when they get there to check on Nancy that morning, there is no configuration time frame, which means they either didn't go through the garage or they opened it with a clicker that would not give a configuration, meaning it wasn't opened with an app or anything like that. So it either had to be opened with a button, like a clicker, or they had to go through another way in the house. Had to be one or the other.
Log.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely. Unless they used the keypad and they went on that. But you would think the sheriff would said,
or keypad,
well, they went through the garage just like their pattern of life. That's how they do things.
I'd be looking very closely at how that was configured and if those configurations were ever changed, because that's all it.
And that's a good point too, if those configurations were ever changed as well. Let's say this. Again, if you have an app to open up your garage door, you can open it up. You can have one person that can open it up. You can give access to 2, 3, 4 people to open this garage door up, ever how many you need, right? Think about this. If access was given previously, within the last week, 2 weeks, a month, if someone was added to this garage door, that they could open it or close it, right? And the behavior of Tommaso, Annie, anybody who normally goes there, you generally go through the same way inside a house every time, right? We generally use like our front door, our back door, or whatever, but very interesting if something was added in the last little while. That would definitely change things, in my opinion. Thank you so much, Serenity. Appreciate you, my dear. I'm 53 and I never stay out that late. If I have to get up for something the next day, I agree, because I have all my before bed things to do. To me, that's again a little late for, it's almost 10 o'clock. It was like 9:50 when she's going to be up early the next day and all that. It may not be for her. Or you could think of it this way. Maybe there was a good conversation going on. Maybe there was an intense conversation going on. Maybe something didn't go as planned. Maybe they were playing a game longer. But to me, getting home at about 10 o'clock for an 84-year-old's a little bit late when they got church the next morning. But, everyone is different. But I agree.
Part of a log within the system.
And also, who else has that app on their phone for their 84-year-old mother?
Exactly.
Potentially, because you can have that app anywhere in the world and click it and that garage door will come up. Okay.
Right.
Okay. And then the next piece of this is 12:03, the 9/11 call comes in. So I'm curious, your professional opinions based on the timeline, if anything is jumping at you and or, what are you guys thinking? And Jim, you want to start and then we'll just kind of roll from here on that thought process.
Listen to this.
Yeah, I'm going to mostly pass here to Dan and Maureen. What I think is important, and maybe it looks up the works.
Yeah, but in all fairness, out of abuse,
I want to hear what Dan has to say. Yeah,
listen to this.
I know the sheriff is getting a lot of abuse off of this, the way this case has been handled. But in all fairness, and I touched on it a little bit earlier, he really doesn't owe those details to the general public.
Right.
And there's a lot of times, I know when we would have in Chicago a case like this, we would call it a heater case. And I've had tons of these heater cases. And there was very little that we would put out in the form of a timeline for the media. That's for us to know, the investigators. And so I don't know, did he put out these numbers or the times in error the first time, or was it a strategy on his part?
And that's my, I'm going to push back a little. Why did he do it?
Don't know.
What's the behavioral analysis in relationship to why put this in the environment?
I think we can put too much thought into this, and the answer is really very simple. And the investigators who are working the case know the relevance of these timeframes, and to them, that's all that matters. Whether something was said early on that shouldn't have been, we can find that out maybe a month or year down the line. But I think Dan hit it on the nail. You just so much you want to put out, and if you do make a mistake early on, you don't owe it to the public to correct by a minute, 30 seconds, 2 minutes. It's just not that relevant to you. If it meant somehow solving the case and that was important to someone, yes, maybe then. But for these purposes, I don't get all hung up on that. That's not going to help us solve the case.
Right. No, I agree.
A lot of what they put out was just like the verifiable things, like the phone call. The church lady called. Yeah, that's a data point that you can definitively say happened. That there was a hit on the app. And the door was open for 2 minutes. Boom, you can put that on there. Maybe the reason they didn't put that other stuff on, with the back door and everything, is because they hadn't yet been able to verify that. And then they just decided to hold the information.
Right. I don't think we know what the point of entry is.
No.
I agree at all. So that leads into the next thought, because I think he opened up Pandora's box with the public because they impounded Andy's car the next day.
Now listen to this. Listen to this part right here. This is where they talk about the car. The next day is when they impounded Annie's car. And again, it's still not back a month later.
Daughter's car. Have you ever impounded a victim's daughter's car in an abduction of an 84-year-old woman out of a house?
Yes, it's normal.
It is?
Yes.
I worked 300 murders. I never did it.
I don't agree.
They would have been remiss if they didn't do it, in my estimation.
In what way?
Well, first of all,
yeah, they like I said, they might check it, but again, after you check it, you're going to return it. Like I said, they returned Carlos's vehicles, right? they returned Mr. Daly's vehicles, correct? According to Mr. Daly.
Let's rule that car out as being involved in the case.
And
let's go through it. You may see Nancy's DNA. You may have her fingerprints, but she's allowed to be in that car. That's fine. They can still check it for blood, other body fluids, other body, hairs, fibers, whatever, and then rule it out. Rule it out from there. Absolutely, and that's why they should bring the car in. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
They should. And I also just real quick, I've worked enough of these cases. I've been on the stand 2 years after an arrest was made, and you're getting slammed by a defense attorney. Well, did you ever think of looking at the family's car? Don't you know homicides are committed? And there may be a stranger that did it. But you know the family. Did you ever search the car? No, sir. Well, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, yada yada yada. So I think they're covering themselves. Now they still have the car.
Why?
And of course, the family can't be completely ruled out. Consent.
Why? Why do they have the car 30 days later?
I'll defer to
they gave the Range Rover.
Dan and Maureen.
I heard that, wasn't it yesterday that the car was returned? Correct me if I'm wrong.
In the process.
They haven't returned it yet. They said they're in the process of doing it, but it hasn't occurred.
Okay. So they haven't. Here's my philosophy on it. In 2015, my partner and I handled a 9-year-old boy that was executed in an alley on the south side of Chicago. And the vehicle that was used in that case was a rental vehicle. It was a Ford Edge, 2015 Ford Edge. Once we located our offenders and we were able to locate the vehicle, just on a fluke, my partner and I stopped at a Ford dealership and we inquired with them about, is it possible to pull any kind of data out of as I refer to it as the brain of the car, the computer?
Mm-hmm.
And they looked into it and said, yeah, there is. So we ended up contacting our state police and actually having that brain removed from the car, and then
the computer
downloaded all the information on this. And this car brought, just a detailed record of everything. I'm talking where it stopped, how many were seated in the car, what car doors open, at what locations, windows down, phones connected through the Bluetooth. That could be what they were doing with her car.
Totally.
Absolutely. No, totally take the point and agree with the point. The thing is, right, if Nancy only rode back with Tommaso and it's just an 8 or 10 minute drive and nothing happened at all, nothing, right? He just drove her home, opened the garage door, let her in or walked her in. Of course, they're going to check. Get it. But if there's nothing there, right? She just sat in the car. Of course, her DNA is going to be in there, but nothing out of the ordinary. Again, why would they keep it a month if there's nothing in there? If there's nothing in the computer or the brain of the car. Now, this is speculation. What we're talking about here is it's not blaming anybody, but these are questions that we're asking. If, for instance, perhaps if they're looking, if this vehicle was on at the 2 o'clock in the morning, was this vehicle driving at 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, meaning after Nancy was dropped off and they left and went back home and maybe went other places or whatever, or are they checking for that as well? It may not necessarily, and I'm sure it's not just forensic physical data inside the car or evidence, but it may be where this car was after it was dropped off. That may have some questions as well. But listen to this.
Agree. The telematics is going to give you everything we need to know.
Yes.
I get that. But the daughter's car, again, Annie was a passenger in that car. I get that piece, Jim.
Mm-hmm.
Brought over, dropped off at 9:48 p.m.
Annie, I think Chris means Nancy. I get them mixed up. I get the names mixed up all the time too. I think he means Nancy, not Annie.
Do we know
Annie
it was even that car? They have two cars. We don't even know which car it was. Okay. So my first question, if I was investigating this case, is what car did you use? Because that's the last proof of life. I think we can all agree on that at 9:48 p.m. Okay.
Yes.
I get the fact that,
yes, they can. They absolutely can be tracked and traced with the computer and all that. However, the way that the computers in vehicles, they overwrite pretty quickly, and they don't. How can I say it? They don't overwrite in a pattern either, if that makes sense. You might be able to get some points of where the vehicle was, when it was started, how many people was in there, where they were going, the time, and then 10 minutes later, you may not have any data. The way it's very uneven. That's the only way I know how to describe it with the computers.
we can go to them and we can say, you know what, we're going to process your car. Okay. We're going to impound it and we're going to check to make sure mom was in that car. Okay. And we're going to get a search warrant to do it. We're going to go get a telephonic. We're going to call the judge at 2 a.m. Boom, boom, boom. Sign here. Detective, get the car. And then we're going to call the evidence team. The CSI is all going to come in. Hopefully it's Maureen. And you guys are going to take every piece of that car apart. Okay. Even the seatbelt. Okay. And then we're going to put it back together, take that receipt back to the judge, hand it back to him. Here's our inventory. By the way, Your Honor, we didn't find anything.
Listen.
And the judge is going to say what?
Release it.
Why is it still being held is my question to the panel.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. There is, okay, like they did Carlos, like they did Mr. Daly. I can never think of his first name. Luke, like they did Luke's. They had Luke's vehicle for several days, right? But they gave it back. Now, when it comes to Luke, in my opinion, yeah, they checked it, but Luke had just got this Range Rover days after Nancy vanished, right? So let's say, so it's very unlikely anything happened in that Range Rover, although they're going to check. They gave it back. Carlos, the two vehicles that they looked at, they gave it back. Because apparently they didn't find anything. Right? Or they got what they needed and they returned it, which I think they would probably keep it, in my opinion, if there was something, or keep it a little bit longer. But in Annie's vehicle, allegedly, they have, not returned it and all that.
A month later.
I guess we're going to have to wait to find out, but I agree. It's an interesting data point. It's been puzzling me. I personally never held a car that long. When we would process cars, and we processed a series of vehicles for LAPD as well as the ones, through all the cases in FBI LA.
So Maureen says this is a very interesting data point, and she personally has never held a vehicle that long, especially if there's nothing to hold it for, right? Did you ever wonder where he got the money to buy a car? Well, he lives with his mom. They seem to be financially okay, based upon where they live, it appears. But if he lives with the mom, he's probably can, dump all of his money into a Range Rover. I don't know.
I'm not sure. I think it's going to be very interesting, but I'm thinking more and more it's going to be along the lines of what Dan said. My tech genius on my squad, he also said that the majority of these vehicles that you can get that really interesting telematics stuff from the infotainment center, generally, what did I say the other day, Dan? 2015 or earlier or later? 28. I think he said 2018 or later is when pretty much they all had it. But Dan got lucky that he had a car that was a 2015 and had that, because at that time that was not the norm.
No, and we, like I said, we didn't even know. We stopped at the local Ford dealership and asked their service department about it.
Right.
They made calls, and that's how we found out. We were like, "Holy cow, this is huge!"
Right.
So if they haven't released it yet, the answer is it's got some evidentiary value. It's
absolutely,
right?
Absolutely. That's the only way we would keep a car.
Now, again, why would Annie's car have evidentiary value? You only do something for a reason, right? Everyone, and police certainly only do something for a reason that forwards the case. So you would assume that they're keeping this because there was some evidentiary value there. And as far as we know, Nancy was just dropped off with this vehicle, right? So what evidentiary value would be there if she was just dropped off? I truly can't think of any. If the family has zero to do with this, why are you keeping the car? Just a question.
Yeah, and now
I hate this. I don't want to.
I'm not saying anybody's done anything. I'm just saying, it's an interesting piece of this puzzle that there's a gap. There's a gap in the puzzle. Is what I guess where I'm thinking. Okay, there's a gap in the timeline in relationship to the next morning.
Big gap.
How the sheriff has purposely left these gaps, which has created this conversation in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? If he's strategically done that, then I guess we can say, okay, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed. He's made some mistakes. We all get that. Okay.
Or he's a mastermind.
I was going to say, or he's a genius with this. I mean, I don't know the man.
I don't either.
I'm just saying that he is. It's one way or the other, and I hope that there's a strategy behind it.
Well, and we can move off of that. I just think that timeline of events is still broken because you don't go, to the cistern or to the water source, or the sewer behind a house and poke into that, septic system looking for a kidnapped woman. Okay?
I actually would.
No, well, yeah, of course. If she was put in there.
No,
right?
but I mean, if it was, if the warrant said the house, the outbuildings, the vehicles, the whatever else, I would look everywhere. And if we were looking for a lady like Nancy, I would during the briefing with the team, I would say, guys, any place you can think of that you come across that someone could conceal, hide, whatever, an 84-year-old lady, we're going in and we're looking for it.
That's my point. If she's
Carla.
unfortunately not with us,
good question.
That would make a lot of sense. But if if she was kidnapped, and at the time they were operating under the information that this was a walk away, a search and rescue situation, and
if this was a walk away situation and a ransom situation, right? You're going to, if this is a ransom situation, you're looking in the sewer. I mean, I understand they're going to check everywhere to be safe, but it's still not jiving.
Now that they came back and they looked in that house and they went, whoa, wait a minute, this is a crime scene. Let's call the homicide guys. They called them the first night. Okay. And I think we can all agree at that time, something drastically shifted inside of that home rather quickly for them to get those guys in the game pretty fast. And the only reason it changed was because of the Bitcoin ransom messages coming in a few days later.
Which was like way out of whack, in my opinion, Fitz. You can speak to this, but 4 days later,
I agree.
Listen,
4 days later with the ransom note, it's like, where were you 3 days ago?
Bingo. If this was all about the ransom, all about the money, why they took Nancy, why did you wait 4 days to send in this to TMZ, to local media, all of that? Because again, someone that's holding an 84-year-old woman that doesn't have her medication, that has a pacemaker and a defibrillator, they're very frail. You're not going to want to wait that long. And again, I think you're going to leave a note at the house as well. So it doesn't make sense.
Right.
I want to ask the panel.
Yeah.
It feels like the area immediately around Nancy's house
Listen to this.
may have not been thoroughly searched.
Please don't tell me that.
Well, no, I'm just saying.
No, I because I've said from the outset of this thing, I have said, I sure hope that they did a thorough search around there.
That's my question.
Yeah.
From what you all have gleaned from following this case,
Mm-hmm.
from afar, like all of us, were grid searches done to the extent that they should be looking for an 84-year-old woman taken from her bed in the middle of the night? I mean, I know they have this 2-mile perimeter, and I know that this new car seen on the video recently was at the 2.5-mile mark. But I mean, we had some, volunteer searchers out there, and it just feels like the sheriff was not encouraging any of that.
Yeah, I heard that. Yeah.
Do you guys feel that the search efforts for Nancy have been typical for what you would see in a case like this from what we've seen?
I mean, from what I know, from what I've seen just on the news, I agree with Maureen. Absolutely. Septics, manholes. I personally.
But yeah, and you're right. You're absolutely right. And I talked about this earlier, Connie. They did a little bit of searching in the beginning, but this hasn't been one of those when someone is missing, there is all kinds of people out searching. You know what I mean? Like, it's been, yeah, there was some searching and all of that, but it wasn't like big grid searches and all of that. It seems like it's been more on the investigative than it has actually looking out in the deserts areas for Nancy.
handled a couple cases where they were found down in those manholes. You have to check all of those areas. You got to go in. You have to do a grid search, and you have to, I mean, anything that looks overturned, you know, disturbed, you got to look. You have to do it. Because let's say, hypothetically, let's say that Nancy struggles a little bit to start with, a little crack to the nose, a little bit of blood coming down, and the poor lady ends up with a heart attack right there.
I said that.
What are you going to do with her?
Yeah, I said that. She's very frail. She already apparently has heart trouble. A little bit of stress, emotional stress and physical stress, right, could make her have a heart attack very quickly, very easily. She's 84 years old, not mobile, heart issues, all of that. Any emotional stress and or physical stress, it can get bad really quick, real quick.
You're going to drag her, you know, somewhere around the vicinity and try to dispose of her like that? Or are you going to actually put her in the car
and drive her to Mexico?
Well, you got a bag of
Nobody's
concrete.
gonna drive her to
Yeah,
Mexico.
how are you going to move it? Great.
Right.
Yeah, good point, Tim.
So I just, you know, I hate to think that way, but we have to think that way, right? You know, that what if she's star 84, she's got a pacemaker, and what if she checks out right then and there?
So, Jim, does this go from an organized to a disorganized? What are your thoughts on that?
Good question there. Yeah. No, this is an organized offender, and again, as the message I put out with my podcast co-host over the weekend, they conducted a successful abduction. You can the flowers at the camera lens, whatever have you there. The abduction itself was successful. The motivation behind it, we don't know, and that is something I would hope this person, whoever did this, and persons, you know, would consider letting the public know in a safe and secure way as they want to do it, that they're not just some drunkards or sexual perverts or have some kind of mental health disorders, that they did this for a reason, and they have some kind of a motivation or goal behind it, even without giving themselves away, because otherwise they just look like nut jobs. So, but I would say organized to some degree, and I believe they are. I believe there was a distinct reason and rationale behind this. This is not random, thought up an hour before. But going back real quick to the searches, I was brought into the John Benet Ramsey case, you know, about 3 months later when the Boulder PD came to Quantico, and I'll never forget. We all knew early on that the little girl's body was down in the sub basement for 6 hours while the police are upstairs looking at it. Complete different case. I get it. That never was a kidnapping. The girl was killed in the home that night, and the bizarre letter left behind. But there, that body was there. I've worked some early kidnapping cases, and everyone thinks that the mother did it, the father did it, a stranger, and here the kid was playing hide and seek, locked herself in a car trunk, an abandoned car. This is going back about 20 years or so. So I am hoping that that area is being searched. And Dan, you probably remember, and Maureen, that sometimes they bring out the police academy cadets for a case, something like this, and they'd have 100 strong. And they would go basically arm in arm, hand in hand.
Yep.
They could cover, you know, a square mile or so
We've
done that.
daylight. Absolutely.
Yep.
And I've seen nothing like that here. There's been some volunteers. What's that rescue group called? EquiSearch?
EquiSearch.
Yeah,
Something
I think
they're-
that's it.
They're on horseback. I understand they volunteered to come in or offered to come in, but they were turned down. So I don't know, you know, what that means, but I think I'm agreeing with other people here. This was a high-risk crime to begin with, going in the door the way this person did, especially with all the equipment on them, the mask and everything, even getting a car stop before you commit the crime. What kind of a mask are you having here in Arizona in January, February?
Absolutely.
That cold, and not to mention the gun,
Well, like I said, like can you imagine like a neighbor walking their dog or just some random person walking in the neighborhood, teenagers even walking in the neighborhood that night, and you see a guy in Tucson with a ski mask on? Like that would be very weird. That people might call the police if they see someone walking down the street in a ski mask. Um, you only you're not going to wear you're not skiing, right? So that's high risk to do something like that.
The strange backpack, the strange holster, and so that's high risk right there. To now have Nancy in the back of the car in any condition takes high risk on steroids.
Mhm.
So that they didn't take that person too far, and with any pre-offense planning that they had, I'm convinced wherever she is, and I won't put an exact mileage on it, but it's in a circle, not too far away from that house, within, measured within perhaps single-digit miles.
I agree.
Yep. Yeah. Very close. Very close. And when they were looking at Carlos, that was quite far away, right? Now, when they were looking at the Daily home, that's really close. That's 2 miles. Even though Mr. Daly says he didn't know where Nancy lived or anything really about it.
And
1,000%.
I also think that it may have gone south initially, the plan, whatever the plan was, because Nancy didn't have because she doesn't sleep with hearing aids. Who does? And she wasn't waking up, or they couldn't get her to, they were barking commands and she didn't understand or couldn't hear or something along those lines. So maybe a compliance tap or hit or whatever. But going back.
Right. I mentioned this the other night. She's 84 years old, not mobile, very mobile, walks with a cane, all of that. If you were getting her out to a vehicle alive, you're going to have to be very patient with her getting out to the vehicle, or you're going to have to carry her. And someone's not going to do that alone. You're not going to carry an 84-year-old woman by yourself. So they either had to be very patient, or they had to carry her alive with someone else, or even dead. One or the other. She can't walk fast.
Back to the searches and the grid searches, I've done many, many, many searches in the deserts, in the Angeles National Forest, all over the place. And it's hard. And even after bomb training out in the desert at different military bases. And it's, we did it for we would do it for a couple days in a row, and it's all FBI agents. And if there were other people, we could fill in, so it's FBI agent, 2 civilians, an FBI agent, or however we had to work it to make it work. And like right now, there's a missing general. He retired from that base in New Mexico, and they're working with,
He's out of Albuquerque. Go ahead.
Yes. And they're working with the military base to provide people to assist with the search.
Right.
Those are the type of things that normally happen. I don't know what they did. I can't say what they did or didn't do, but I did not see what I normally experienced, which was several days in a row of grid searching.
A true grid search.
True grid search, not meandering down the side of the road.
No.
That was the great thing about Southern California, where we had 50,000 Marines. We had 50,000 jarheads we could tap on at any date and time. And Jim, you'll find this as a funny story with the Unabomber. So the team that was guarding him, they had the 2 teams, right? When he was going to back in the day. They had an East Coast team and a West Coast team. Anyway, they were out at Camp Pendleton doing live fire training. And they decided to go out in town for chow. And they went into a hometown buffet. They're U.S. Marshals. And they were eating, and one of the guys was at the Jello bar. And I was working a robbery series, and Pee Wee Hernandez was the suspect. He came in, he'd done like 24 of them. And lo and behold, he's holding the manager at gunpoint. And the marshal looks over and goes, it's almost as if the heavens opened at that very moment. And anyway, they do the 1-2, and they look-a-roo at each other and go, that's a cop, that's a suspect. And as the suspect starts to turn on him, he double taps him and drops him, 10-8, all units cleared. And anyway, I pull the case, and I'm talking to these guys, and I'm like, so why are you guys here at Camp Pendleton? They says, oh, well, the team that's guarding him, we switched. And because we were headed out west here, we decided to stop here for live fire training out at the combat homes out. They have the combat town out there in Camp Pendleton.
The live fire, yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I got a letter from the U.S. Marshal saying, thank you for taking care of our guys. And by the way, we appreciate how you guys handle them. But they did us a service. I mean, it was a community service award for taking that guy and double tapping him a couple times. But when you mentioned Unabomber, I figured I would just make you feel warm and fuzzy inside.
So, Chris, when you double tap someone a couple times, is that 4 rounds
That's
in the
quadruple tap?
2 and 1, baby. 2 and 1 if you miss. Go ahead.
I do have a question. I want to go back to the porch guy, and I want to ask.
Okay, listen to this.
Okay. Jim's got to run.
Okay.
So.
Okay. I know it's not with there go then to
he's porch guy.
Okay, listen to this.
Okay. And I want to hear what each of you say. Now think about this, right? With the Tyler Robinson case, I guess we got lucky because the story goes his mother saw the video after the Charlie Kirk shooting, right, of what they released, and I literally identified her son from watching that. I guess I'll say allegedly, just to be honest.
Oh, I thought that was the dad. Oh, but no, the dad helped turn him in, I guess. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
But the mom, the story goes that the mother recognized her son on the video.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Well, see, in my opinion, if it was family member at the front door, they would have had to tape the cover of the Nest camera and have struggled so hard, waste time trying to break it in. Well, see, I'm not sure I agree with that, because if you are someone who doesn't know if they have a subscription or not, right? If you know they don't have a subscription, you don't know. And so I think you're going to, but if you know that they have a subscription, whether you take the camera or not, it's going to, be in the cloud. You know what I mean?
See, that's what I spoke on earlier, that just for people out there, yeah, he was wearing a mask, but there's a difference between recognition and identification.
And that's a really good point, Dan. When you say, I never thought of it that way before, but that's a really solid point.
Break that down a little bit deeper for the audience.
So let's say somebody's watching right now and they say, boy, the person in that mask on the front porch, that sure looks like John Doe. Man, I swear that's John Doe. But then in their head, they're thinking, but he's got a mask on. I can't say for sure.
And that's a really important point. A lot of people doubt themselves. They think, God, the way that person walks or looks really familiar, but they will doubt themselves that you know, because this person does have a mask on, so they won't say anything. But if you think you've seen that walk or that look before and you are local, you need to say something. I would absolutely believe that locals have to know who this is. Some
call the FBI, because
something.
what's happening is you're recognizing the movements, the body, the physique,
I agree.
Everything, the clothing. You're recognizing. Doesn't mean you're identifying, you're recognizing. And that's critical. I've seen it over and over again, and it holds up too.
Can you build probable cause with that, Dan?
Absolutely. Yeah, because I mean, so that will lead you to the certain person, and then now you have to build your case around that. That's right. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But no, I've had prosecutors in Cook County in Chicago argue in front of juries that this is a case of recognition, not identification. They knew who that person was. They had the hoodie over their head, their face covered, but they could recognize who that person was because they've known him for 20 years.
Right.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
Right.
And you can see the smaller feet, the tighter fitting clothing, the the hands are going to be a lot smaller because he had 2 pair of gloves on. Those large almond shaped eyes that looked almost like he had makeup on. We've all known guys that have those kind of eyes. And I said before, and it sounds odd.
Yes, this guy looks like he's got mascara on. He's got very thick eyelashes. Look at those eyelashes. Right? Very, very thick eyelashes. And listen to what she's going to say about the goatee. Very interesting. As we said it.
That when we find this guy, he'll be a person that people have described as having big, beautiful eyes before in the past, whoever this crazy person was on that front porch.
The same thing right above Maureen, I think.
And listen to what they're going to say that we said the other day, guys. Going to talk about the lip, like a cleft palate. Some people call it a hair lip. Cleft palate, it looks like. He appears to definitely have a scar there, in my opinion. Linda, thank you so much, my dear. Appreciate you. Savannah's husband was and is an internet scrubber for the Clintons for the past 2 decades. Also back in Data Dump, picked up a female voice saying, "You promised it wouldn't go this far." Also back in Data Dump. Linda, you'll have to email me. I don't know what you see. If this is anything political, which I'll be honest with you, I've not ruled out, but I don't think it's nationally political. I think it could be locally political, because Nancy was very big into politics locally. And one of the people that they have looked at, I will say that there's a picture of them. They're like at they look like they're at like a Capitol or something like that locally, not national. So it's very interesting. Luke's lips is similar, in my opinion. I don't know, but watch what he's saying here, because we called it the other day. I said, guys, look at him. He looks like he's got a scar on his lip, or like a cleft lip. Some people call it a hair lip.
You and I talked about this right above the lip here.
Yeah, the filtrum.
Yeah, there's a distinct, I mean.
See, like a Cupid's bow. I have a big Cupid's bow, right? It's that little, some people don't really have them. or a small one, but it's like that dimple right here or your nose. Seems to very unique.
Somebody that can look at that and say, boy, oh boy, that sure looks like so-and-so. Call the FBI tip line.
The lip situation, and to Fitz's point about changing, whoever had that dark hair around their mouth, it's gone now. We can tell you that pretty much for sure.
There you go. Whoever had that dark hair around their mouth, it's pretty much gone now. That's for sure. I agree. I agree with that. And I think it's interesting. Interesting. Shaved off. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
They got rid of that right then. If you know anyone that shaved off that facial hair. Yeah, so see that spot right there? Can you put your so it's the space with the two lines from your nose down to your upper lip that join generally at what's known as the Cupid's bow if you're doing face reading, which is very interesting, by the way. It almost looks like this person could have a bit of a hair lip. Does that make sense to you? I wish I could.
Yeah.
I wish I had a pointer. I don't. But if you see
a tiny bit, yes.
Yes, a tiny one.
I see. I mentioned this the other day. We had almost a whole live on this guy's lip. It might be a hair lip or a cleft palate, like I said, but if it's not, to me, it's, someone might have gotten bit by a dog. They might have fell and split their lip open. They might have fought. But it appears, and a lot of times if there's like a cleft lip or whatever with men particularly, they will grow a goatee, a beard or whatever over it to kind of hide that. Now, many times, the hair won't grow over the scar or whatever, but that it does kind of help camouflage it a little bit. I don't what is it, Jerry? Did that on DE, Justin.
An almost indiscernible one. So if you look at my face, you can see that I have two distinct lines, that one's here and one's here. And they both meet at what's known as the Cupid's bow, those two tips right here. This is a line that together it's the philtrum, Philtrum, I believe. I'm not sure, but I'm pretty sure. And
you're right.
His is a little bit off. If you look at the way his hair is growing right there on his upper lip, it's not a straight line. It looks like he has some kind of a scar or something right about here that's causing hair not to grow there.
Interesting.
Correct. I agree totally with you, Maureen.
You see that? I don't know what you mean, Sherry. Yeah, we was showing this guy the other night, this suspect. We were looking at his lip. Is zooming in and doing filters and stuff all over it as well. Thank you. It's me, Jen. Thank you, Mamacita. Appreciate you. Thank you, love. How you doing? Appreciate you very, very much. It's me, Jen. Very kind of you. Much love to you, my sweetheart. Appreciate you very, very much. There is no Cupid's bow. I don't know if you can see mine. I have a big Cupid's bow. Really big Cupid's bow. I don't know if this guy has like a big Cupid's. I don't think he's got like a huge Cupid's bow. But he certainly has a scar there, or hair doesn't grow. Right. Hair doesn't grow right there. Thank you so much again, Jen. Appreciate you, baby. Perhaps someone has identified him and called the FBI. They would keep it quiet. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Luke has a tiny upper lip. You know, the thing about I've noticed about Luke in different photos of his, he sometimes his lips look fuller, sometimes they look thinner. And he looks a lot different in a lot of his different pictures. So around our lips, and this is I've not talked about this yet, but around our lips, I think she was just talking about I think it's called philtrum, where our lip and our skin, our normal skin, there is a white line around. It's like almost like lip liner, but it's white, right? It's the skin that transfers from your lip to your normal skin. He seems to have a lot right under his lip here. It almost looks like he's had lip injections, because when they do lip injections, they inject in your philtrum right where the skin and the lip start. That's where they inject. That's what gives you the duck lips and stuff. What's the I can't think of the name, what it's called. It's not philtrum. It's something. What's the skin? I can't think of the name right now. I'll think of it in a second. Where I don't know. I'll think of it in a minute. That's the space between your nose and your lip. Okay, that's the philtrum. I'm trying to think of the name, what it is. I have to say it, just lips are really. Oh, thank you so much. Appreciate you.
One of the things that struck me about him is his gait, how
Yes.
he hunched over and how he favored.
That's why I wish they would, if they have any and they can, I would love for them to release more footage so we could see his more how this person walks. No. It's the piece of skin. It's the little white skin around your lip. No, Botox is a botulism. I just can't think of the name. I'll think of this.
Like it almost looked like the left shoulder had some kind of an past injury, because it kind of slopes down a little bit. And I get it. He's leaning here. He's walking.
He's leaning.
We don't have an actual, him standing upright, but I think it's unique enough where somebody could recognize that.
I think he's looking in the glass panel on the other side of the door. That door had a floor to ceiling, like a 12-inch wide glass panel on either side of the door. And I think he's just tipping over to look into that. I also think when he's ducked over, just my opinion, everybody.
There it is. That's it. Vermilion line. That's it. And thank you, Bogey. Yes, it's the vermilion line. And if you look at this guy, he's got a very pronounced vermilion line. Let me find it here. You see the white here in his. He seems to have a very big vermilion line right there. It's more, it's like we all have it. It's like a natural lip liner. It's from the skin that is transferring from your normal skin to your lip. It's not your lip. It's not your normal skin. It's that part right that outlines your entire lip. You know what I mean? Those pants look like Luke's. You can't see his mouth. I'll pull it up one second here. It's very interesting.
He has their own. I also think that when he's bent over a little bit, it's to disguise how tall he is or what he actually looks like, because it did.
I think he's just trying
it
to
did
avoid
really.
the camera there.
What do you think, Dan?
You talking about when he first walks in, he's looking down?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the first time I seen the video. That's what I thought. I said, he's looking down as if he doesn't want that camera to pick up his eyes and this part here. That's the first thing I thought of, but I don't know. Maybe not.
Yeah, we won't know.
Well, what's interesting when he comes up, I mean, he is consciously making decisions to completely try to move his head away from any kind of visual capability at all, right?
Yes, that's what I think. Yeah.
But then he picks the craziest things. I mean, he picks the weeds up like, as if that's going to work.
Let me show you something.
And it was almost like an afterthought of, well, wait a minute, this isn't supposed to be here. I mean, of course I don't know that, but my thought process is,
let me show you something right here. Going to come right back to this, promise. But and I've got this picture up. I'm not saying Luke is involved in any way, shape, or form. To me, let me make it big. To me, this frame tells me the most, in my opinion. The one frame, yes, but you can almost see like a side profile here. You know what I mean? Like you can almost see a side profile here. And again, the black and white really enhances, it over exaggerates everything when and look at around here. A lot of people talk about, let me see if I can, 1 second here. Can I escape this? 1 second. Oops, we'll do it like this. Okay. Let me make this bigger. These are two different pictures, obviously. Trying to make them as big as possible. Okay. So, yes, yeah. To me, again, it looks like you can see a scar here, and this right here is the vermilion line, which is right here, that white spot right there. But look how this entire ski mask, I don't know if this is, to me, it almost kind of looks like sports sunglasses sometimes, but I don't think it is. I think it just might be how the camera makes everything exaggerated. But if you go over here and look, you can see the outline of this person's ski mask as well. Right? And you can see his eyes are looking toward the right here. Again, it almost looks like he's got like a toothpick in his mouth or something, but I don't think it's that at all. I think it's a reflection here. But you can see the goatee very well there. Doesn't seem to have a huge upper lip, not a small one either, just I would say an average. Bottom lip, definitely not a big either. Doesn't seem like, in my opinion. The guy has a big ass head. I don't know. I mean, I think it's pitch dark. Even if the perp knew the porch area, he still can't afford to trip. So bending over, yeah, I think he was just trying to not be seen, in my opinion. You know what I mean? Now, down here is pictures of Luke, and not saying that he's involved in any way, shape, or form. We were just comparing some things yesterday. Luke has, it's very interesting how, let me show you this. Here in this photo, let me check that interview out. It's very interesting how people can change. Because here he seems to have a big 11 line right there, right? If we had that, he's got a big 11 line, and he's got one right there, and then he's got right here. Here, it could be just the side image, but he doesn't seem to have one. And it just shows you how someone can change. Let me find his. Okay, he still got it. Watch this. But it's not as big. You see that 11 line right there? Now watch this. Let me show you this right here. He's got it, but it's not as pronounced as it was in that picture. Right?
Happily tell if
he does not have a big upper lip at all. At all.
FBI, police, anything.
Have very thick eyelash.
I mean, I, like everyone else, just want Nancy to come home and be safe, but
goatee is shaved off.
That being said, I have nothing to do with this case, and
you know what I mean? Let me see what you're saying in chat. He has thin lips. He's got a particularly thin upper lip. A particularly thin upper lip. I don't know, man. It's a hard one for me. It really is, because sometimes I look at it and I'm like, and sometimes I'm like, I just wish if we had more footage. A lot of people talk about his eye right here. Make it bigger for you. A lot of people talk about his eye right here. This part, and they talk about this. It's just so weird. Now, what's interesting to me is the nose part right here. This person seems to have kind of a bigger nose, it looks like. You see the profile right here on the side. And, a lot of people think, what are your thoughts? Was he trying to hide his tattoo? And that's what I said yesterday. I'm like, why the hell? That was very weird to me. Yeah, Boking. Yeah. I was like, why was he wearing like these long sleeve shirts? That's weird to me. And, he's got here also, he's got, this is the only picture that I have seen him in that he does not have a goatee. The side profile seems to match, in my opinion. So look at this one, right? And then look at this. People think differently, but again, the one thing that bothers me, now you can see like a little thing right there on his lip. But this lip right here, the top lip, kind of bothers me. But again, what I will say that's very interesting is the way that the Ring doorbell, right, is at, it's going to be below him, right? The Ring doorbell is below and he's a little bit higher. So you're going to see the lips at a different angle than you are seeing him in this interview. And that's why, like, if we were closer to him, and the camera was right around his chin area, you're going to be able to see his lips at a different angle as well. You know what I mean? But he's got, whoever this person is, they certainly got a thick badonkadonk and like legs and stuff as well. So that's another interesting thing to me. I don't know. It's very weird. Justin, anyone did camera have sound? The camera would have had sound. Absolutely. Yes, these cameras do have sound. Sure do. Miss Kelsey, 11 months, coming in clutch, girl. How you doing? Thank you so much, Miss Kelsey. Appreciate you. Thank you so much for your support. Love you, darling. In medicine, we call it a vermilion border. Yes. Thank you so much. A simple plea from... There we go. Thank you so much, my dear. Appreciate you. Yeah, that's where they inject the lip injections. That's where they started injecting it.
You know, this guy has gone through all of this planning. He's got the Ralph Crandom, as Dr. Picato says, he's got the kit right out of the Honeymooners, where Ralph dressed up with the helmet,
a
pot on his head, right, back in the day.
Yeah.
And, this guy's got the whole kit. He's got a gun that does, it's the wrong holster. He's got a revolver holster for an automatic weapon, it appears.
Somebody was saying yesterday that they online somewhere that he probably had this holster, which I don't think is that intentional. But they said if he had a suppressor or a silencer, he could have used this holster because
he's definitely got. I really want to see. If I really want to see Luke's gait. That's what I want to see, Luke's gait. If we could see him walking, just randomly walking, that's
the barrel would have. He has a short barreled weapon in a long barreled holster. How does that sound to you guys?
No, that could make sense. I mean, but why do you need a holster if you're gonna go that far out, right? I mean, just tuck it in your pants and go to town. I mean,
better style, right?
Right.
Yeah.
The other style, I mean, the other picture of the dude in the, the one that they are saying it could have been him earlier. We don't have a time frame on it.
Very much helpful.
Yeah.
I don't want to go too far out there, but you obviously this backlit here is the full moon.
Yes.
It's pretty obvious back there. I think it could be the exterior, also porch lights, but more importantly, when he's walking up, you can definitely see the moon behind him, lighting the shadow. It's casting
a badonkadonk is a big booty Judy. That's what a badonkadonk is. It's a big booty Judy. Yes.
Shadow onto onto the porch.
That full moon was one of the brightest ones, I think the brightest one of the whole year. I love full moons. I was out last night with the full moon. I love looking at full moons. Yeah. And it's going to be lighter out that night than it was almost any other night in that dark town.
Yeah, and so, and then the other picture though that they have out there with the guy standing in the archway, it's pitch black behind him. All you see is the two lights from the house behind him.
Right.
Okay.
Is that what those two lights are? Is the house behind?
A next block, like I think.
Yeah, and I looked on Google Earth and it is definitely a house back there. It is not a person or anything like that. It's a house that they left.
Yes. A lot of people have thought, and I've disagreed from the get-go, that that there's like a car back here and all of that. I don't think there's a car back there at all. I don't think there's another person back there. I'm sure some of y'all would disagree with me in chat as well. I just personally don't see it myself. Thank you so much, Michelle. Has he ever worn a pinky ring? Girl. Pinkies up. Pinkies up, everyone. The door guy wears one and a tattoo on his wrist. Is it possible it's possible he's in videos, a pinky ring? I don't know. I mean, if he wears a pinky ring, he's probably a sister, you know what I mean? But I don't know. I mean, some men wear pinky rings, I guess. That's not a sister, but now Luke, he has a ring on. He does have a ring on in one of his videos here. Let me show you. Ooh, watch this. Oh, I've not seen this one. Hold on. 1 second. We'll come back to this. I want to show you this pinky ring. I think this is the one, maybe.
Hey, Lou, you doing? Thank you so much.
Let me look at his side profile there. I'm going to make it full so y'all can see it really good. Look at his lips. Look at the eyes. I don't know. He just doesn't have much of an upper lip right there. Look at the side.
Thank you so much. I get up, I'm just on my... Hey, Lou, you doing? Thank you so much. I get up, I'm just on...
I don't think it's him. I don't think it's him now.
Hey, Lou, you doing? Thank you so much. I get up, I'm just on my...
I think this guy's a little skinnier.
Hey, Lou, you doing? Thank you so much. I get up, I'm just on... Hey, Lou, you doing? Thank you so much. I get up, I'm just on my...
Look at that. To me, this guy seems a little...
Thank you so much. I get up, I'm just on...
Deb says, thank you, Deb. Luke was in CODIS from previous arrest, and the perp's DNA was not a match for CODIS. Well, I don't think that it was a match for what CODIS was at Deb. It was they couldn't enter. There wasn't enough DNA for them to enter it into CODIS, from what I understand. But that's a good point. That's a good point. But this is still not the one that I wanted to show you with the pinky ring. Here it is. I got it right here. Look at this pinky ring. He does have a pinky ring somewhere. or not a pinky ring, sorry, a ring. Let me find it.
Looking at me like in the battery. They were still seeing the house.
You've said it.
Damn, where is that with the ring?
Made you guys
moving forward. But in terms of, I have.
He's very nervous here.
I couldn't go. What? Well, I live near her house, but I mean, I didn't even know that until after the fact. Like I barely just learned where her actual house was in relation to mine. So I didn't even know.
Had you ever met her?
No.
Did you know who she was?
I knew who she was because my mother was following the case. But in terms of other than that, I would just go off what my mother was telling me.
And so how long were you detained for?
Probably
1 second.
Maybe 4 or 5 hours.
In the back of that car the whole time? And they searched your Range Rover extensively?
Yeah, they searched Range Rover. They towed my Range Rover. Did all DNA testing or whatever, and then gave it back to me. Took my cell phone. I've had no way to get a hold of anyone, which is probably a good thing because everyone's looking at me like I'm.
I haven't seen this yet. Have y'all seen this? Hold on. I'm looking for his pinky ring, but this right here.
3 days since Nancy Guthrie went missing. Are investigators any closer to finding the suspect or suspects?
I think the investigators are definitely closer. We got a lot of intel, a lot of leads, but now it's time to just go to work.
We also asked about that new Ring camera video obtained by Fox News Digital showing a car 2.5 miles away.
Yeah. Is this really something we should be looking at?
Look, what I would tell you is this. We're aware of it and we're looking into it, just like any other piece of evidence.
Have you been able to identify the car that drove past at 2:36 a.m.?
No.
No. But you are looking to identify it.
We're looking at that vehicle as well as hundreds of thousands of other vehicles that were out driving that time.
Hundreds of
Nano
thousands.
says they still haven't identified the other clothes the suspect was wearing and told us this about the backpack.
Yeah. We've now learned that maybe it wasn't purchased out of Walmart. That backpack is new, is exclusive to Walmart. But who's to say I didn't buy it and put it on eBay? That's what we're looking at.
With so many questions, he told us there is a lot they're just not sharing.
There's so much
it's a
that
Kia Soul
everybody
for sure.
wants to know, right? But I would be very neglectful.
You
and
are,
responsible
in my opinion.
as a police law enforcement leader.
You are, in
to
my
share
opinion.
that with everybody. We have information on this case that we think is going to hopefully lead us to solving this case. But it takes time.
And you'll get there?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. Well, that's good to hear, Liz. And by the way, you asked a lot of questions that have been top of mind for a lot of folks who've been following this case very closely. What did the sheriff?
On the doorbell camera? Okay. Nancy Guthrie. Let me do it here. 1 second. I'll pull up the video. Is it this one? Give me a second here. Let me try this. 1 second. Okay. Yeah, a lot of people talk about this. You're talking about this right here. Right? Do you mean like this right here? Right there. See, for me, like if I was gloving up, I wouldn't wear a ring underneath of it, but that's just me. But it's possible. He appears to have thick hands, very thick hands, in my opinion. And Luke does have thick hands as well. I don't see a ring. I don't really either, but a lot of people thinks there's a tear right there as well. But I don't know. It's hard to tell. These are, thick gloves. Let me see how he bends that leg again. Watch how he steps with it. This person is watching all of us. It's creepy. He has to have clothes on underneath of this. I'm convinced. Has to. Those eyes. He's got his sleeve over top the glove, but he's got a is that a tattoo? To me, that looks like a tattoo right there. See that? That's the interesting thing. Yeah, definitely an evil creep. Definitely an evil creep. Do y'all think that's a tattoo? It's a common place to put a tattoo. Right there. You can see some marking. But again, it may not be a tattoo. But you see it no matter the angle, which is what's interesting to me. You continually see that. It doesn't leave. No matter what angle he is on, you see that square. It's like a square. And you see this. This could be a shadow. But you constantly see that one spot. Right there. This annoys me, the piss out of me. See that lip? These are definitely eyebrows, and this is definitely the outside of. I don't think it's Luke. I really don't. I think that they went there for a reason. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, darling. It is round. Guy at the doorbell camera might not be the main guy, so it could be a friend or helper. Absolutely. 1,000%. Oh, right here. This is important when he does this. Right there. Nobody looks at this one as much. And I don't know why this with the flashlight. Because look at this. Let me take a screenshot of that. I'm going to enlarge that because you can see his mouth a little bit better here. We'll glow that up. But watch this. We'll glow this up because this is really interesting. You can see more of his goatee and his lip there. Watch this. And then we'll glow this up as well. Okay. Let me slow it down. We want it on the best quality as well. Okay. It kind of glows up right there with the plant. Okay. And then let's glow this up as well. It's very interesting, like what you see right there. Okay. Let's go over here now and let's see if we can glow this up a little bit. Okay, we're going to go to Canva. Michelle, thank you. You can definitely see ring. Look at the doorbell. Shows ring from the top of hand. Top of hand. Okay. I'm going to make these big as well, but I'm going to glow them up. Bear with me a second. Let's see how we can glow them up. Okay. Check this out in a second. Let me make sure this is the brightest one I can get. That. Nope. Yep. Let's go back up here. Okay. And we'll do it like this. Give me a second. Trying to see. See here, it's very dark, but again, you can see his lips around here, and you can definitely tell there's something with this lip right here. You can see that white again, right? You can see that white again. Here, again, big eyes, not crazy big eyes, I don't think, as it is in one of those photos, but that scar. A lot of, yeah, it kind of looks like there's a little bit of a scar right there, but I don't know, again, if it's reflection or not. These eyebrows. See it around there as well. Pretty interesting. To me, when he looks down, he has somewhat of a it could be a double chin, but it also could be this collar pushing it up as well. Doesn't seem to have a big pronounced chin, in my opinion, as well. Let me see here 1 second. We can do it. Let me see if I can do something else with this. 1 second. see here. Go back to this. We can go to put another one on it here. Let me go back to that one. Okay, and then here, look at this person. All right, check this out. You see those lips right there? It's really, really zoomed in. But you can see the goatee around here as well. Again, it still looks like, you know, could be a scar there or something. Vest boy. The perp's DNA was not. Yes, there wasn't enough. There wasn't enough. What if it's a male mask under a ski mask? It's clear now. Just very interesting. Let me see if I can get another. Let me see if I can grab another one. Actually, I have more. Was it that one? This is when he's holding the flowers up. It's kind of similar. But can see more of the goatee here. And again, it looks like there's almost a scar or something. I don't know. Somebody has to know who this Mother Fletcher is. Somebody's got to know. Is this the same one or is this a different one? Try this one. Oh, let's flip it. Let's flip it. Sometimes you can notice things better when you flip it as well. Because we're left and right brained and all of that. This is flipped, by the way. Just an FYI. This is flipped. It's almost like his eyebrows don't go to the side of his eye. I noticed that as well. Any thoughts about that? Talking for $1 million. I know, right? And that's the thing. Nobody's talking for $1 million. Oh, hold on. Somebody just sent me something. Oh, yeah. I know a lot of people's talking about. Oh, yeah. Let me show you this. I showed y'all this the other day, but let me show you how fucking creepy this is now. Check this out. I showed this the other day. Isn't that creepy? Isn't that scary? Mm-hmm. Yeah. And he walks straight up, and the perp walks slumped over. I don't know. I really don't know. It's crazy. That is what I said day one, that it was a mask. See, I really don't think it's a mask or anything. I think that's why he's got the ski mask on. Where can I get one of those? Get it from Timo. He's slumped to see where he is going. Yeah, I think he's doing it to minimize himself so he's not really seen that well. But, you know, this looks like, you know, an old creeper. This person is not old by any stretch of the imaginations, in my opinion. Not old at all. I don't think he's I definitely don't think he's above 40. That's for sure. I'd say most likely late 20s, early 30s. Something like that. I don't know. But the more I look at him, I just I don't know.
I mean, a good job of working past and not having anything to do with it. So them doing that now is kind of just reopening this whole speculation and
he's got
have me make me out to look like this bad person, which I'm not.
But he's clearly nervous, which, I mean, I can understand why he would be nervous. You know, with all that going on. In my opinion, I really want to play this thing with the sheriff, but it's so low. February 1st, Sheriff Chris Nanos. Let me see if I can find it louder. I think it's so important that he one second. Bear with me. I'm trying to find it if it's any louder, but the first, it's the very, very first interview that he did. I don't see it though. Oh, I guess that's his wife. One second. Let me check this. Guys, if y'all haven't hit the, can we see the one with the teeth? The teeth.
We saw when that video was released, within a matter of hours, we went up about 4,500 more leads.
Do you believe someone out here in the Tucson area knows who that person is?
I do believe that. I do. We have told the community, somebody out there is, I think Savannah said, somebody out there knows this person. Somebody out there has information on this. We need that. We saw when that video was released, within a matter of hours, we went up about 4,500 more leads.
Someone's had to call that in. Come on now. Someone has had to have know who this guy is. Okay. Is that it? No. I don't know. I'll find it, guys, but it's very low from, if I play it here, very low.
You know, I don't have that name in front of me.
See, this is when he was. He says some very interesting things in this.
We've got to hear from people and talk to them. When did they last see this person? What do they know? Do they have any ideas for us? Is there somewhere else we can check? We're throwing as much ground and air assets as we can at this. And now I hear
You just can't hear.
Volunteers, literally.
Hold on, what'd you say right there?
Let's see, we had our search and rescue, our PSAR, our search and rescue association volunteers.
Okay.
Literally hundreds.
But he talks about.
We pretty much just thrown everything at this association, from PSAR, from Border Patrol. They gave us their search and rescue dogs. We pretty much just thrown everything at this as we can. Miss Guthrie is 84 years old, and is not of good physical health, and so naturally we have some great concerns. The scene at the house also has some concerns for us as well, and so that's why we're doing all.
The scene at the house have some concerns for us as well. And listen to what he says about the inside.
Locator. We've contacted and remain in contact with all of our local area hospitals, our medical transport teams. So far, that's proven to lead nowhere. We will continue to search as we are right now with our survey, our air assets. We use drones and our airplane or our helicopter. We'll be at this all night, processing the house. And then tomorrow morning we'll start again with our search and rescue mission and try to regroup and see what else we can do. Maybe we've missed something, but I don't need to tell you, this is very concerning to us. You don't typically get the sheriff out at a scene like this, but it's very concerning.
Do you hear what he says right there?
And so we'll just continue.
Do you hear what he says right there? You typically don't get the sheriff out at a scene like this, but it's very concerning what we're learning from the house. You typically don't get the sheriff out like this, but it's very concerning what we're learning from the house.
So we'll just continue. The detectives there, our homicide team is out right now.
Our homicide team is out right now.
Looking at the scene as well.
Looking at the scene as well. All right, listen to this. What is it about the scene? It's so hard to hear him in this one, but he says something to the effect of, we don't normally see this. We don't normally see this. This was the first time he ever spoke.
I think we're all wondering, can you confirm that this is Savannah Guthrie's mom?
This is Mrs. Guthrie's mom, yes.
And you can't tell us anything about what the house.
You know, what I would tell you is we get these calls quite often with some people, and we do a pretty good job of searching the areas and alerting the media with our media releases. But this one stood out because of what was described to us at the scene, what we found located just in looking at the scene.
He says this one stood out because of what was described to us at the scene. I'm trying to find this damn video that's louder. It's such an important interview and nobody talks about it. And it goes, this is when it wasn't near as big like this or anything. What we found locating, just looking at the scene. What does that mean? What we found locating. Describe, but this one stood out. Because what was described to us at the scene. What we found in locating, just looking at the scene. Hold on.
Too much details. I have to allow my team to do their investigation, and they are going to be doing that. They are in the process of things.
Process things. And this is a question that they asked. Is this, listen to what he says right here. Is this, the reporter asked, is this something that you normally do with, getting homicide detectives out this quick?
It's not standard.
This is not standard, he says. It's not standard.
Typically, our homicide team comes out when we have a homicide, a body.
He says, typically our homicide comes out when we have a homicide, a body.
This one was of great concern.
This one was of great concern.
No, I hope it's not. I hope we find her. I hope we find her safe and sound. But we can't ignore what's in front of us, and we need to take all the precautions we can and deal with what's the evidence is in front of us.
You said physical factors, like, physical things, but like also does she have dementia?
You said physical factors like physical things.
Or Alzheimer's, any mental?
No, she's what's being reported by family is she's very has no cognitive issues at all. She's very alert, very of good sound mind. Just some physical. 84 years old, and especially now it's as cold as it is. She has some physical ailments that limit her ability to move around.
There were some neighbors also looking around for Nancy. Are the neighbors looking around? Is that a help to you?
Well, absolutely. I mean, we in the immediate area, we ourselves with our dog teams and our search and rescue teams, we'd ask them to stay out of that area, but we certainly understand their concerns.
So they had dog teams in the very beginning, y'all. Dog teams in the very, very beginning. Must have been worse than we thought. It's something, there's something in there, in that scene, that made them really worry.
And if they happen to find anybody or see something, anything, call 911.
How cold did it get? Oh, she was missing overnight, I take it? She was.
Well, she was last seen at about 9:30, 9:45 last night.
9:30, 9:45. Do you know how cold it got last night? Is that a concern?
You guys are going to know that better than I.
Is that a concern, though?
Well, it's cool right now. 84 years old. I'm cold. Yeah. No, it's
so
obviously.
When she was last seen, a family had dropped her off at home. Is that correct?
She was last seen by family at 9:45, at 9:30, 9:45.
And did they see her in the home?
Yes.
Okay. Did you hear that? Did you hear that? And they saw her in the home. They saw her in the home. Well, now we know that it was allegedly only Tommaso.
And who called in the missing report?
The family.
Can you say who?
I don't have that name in front of me.
And is
Family called it in.
Guthrie, in Tucson or on her way?
She is not here. No.
What are some things, like if someone sees something, or like what are some things like people should be watching out for in this case?
If maybe you ran into her, maybe she wandered off and you ran into her. If you've seen her or anybody like her, call us. Even being of good sound mind, you could have an incident that happened that causes you to lose some of your soundness. But I just would tell you that, look, if you've seen this woman since 9:30 last night at any time, give us a call. Let us know.
And you said that you've checked with hospitals, and what else have you guys checked?
Well, all of the medical transport teams in the area and hospitals and that. But that's nobody's reported to us that they
Who?
Does it being as dark as it is here make it like more difficult to find a missing person?
Well, our night search teams, they use our infrared systems and a heat sensing system. So in some cases, it actually helps.
Yeah. Most people have not seen this, all of it, and it's very, very interesting. And this is when he was yapping away, and was much more loose with his mouth.
Heat and our flares, our heat sensors can find that body, but there's limitations on in the daytime. Our dogs seem to work pretty well, but if it gets too hot, they don't. Nighttime, it's like anything. It too has its limitations.
Now, this is the second time that I personally know that an elderly person has gone missing in the foothills in the past year. Is there a pattern at all that we are seeing? And it doesn't have to be just elderly, any pattern at all.
We have missing persons and search and rescue missions, not weekly, not monthly, daily. Here.
He originally said it was an hour, but it was just like 8 minutes.
And it can be from a young 19, 20-year-old hiker who just gets lost in the desert or lost in the mountains. It could be, and so you get the hikers and that. What's you volunteer?
Are you looking at acquaintances, friends, family, or?
Well, I mean, we're talking to anybody and everybody. I mean, that's what you do. We've got our hearing.
Are you looking at family, friends, acquaintances, anybody? And he said, we're looking at
from people and talk to them. When did they last see this person? What do they know? Do they have any ideas for us? Is there somewhere else we can check?
The scene that makes you think there may have been some random encounter?
The only thing I can tell you at the scene is it's concerning to us.
Okay, right here he says that the question is asked, was there anything, hold on, how did she say it? Do they have,
when did they last see this person? What do they know? Do they have any ideas for us? Is there somewhere else we can check?
Makes you think there may have been some random?
Is there anything at the scene that makes you think this is random? And he says,
encounter?
The only thing I can tell you at the scene is it's concerning to us.
The only thing I can tell you at the scene is it's concerning to us.
That it's enough of a concern that we called out our criminal investigation team.
That it's not enough of a concern that we called out our criminal investigation.
Any aerial surveillance?
Well, that's, you don't see it now, but we had our survey one, our aircraft. We have our drone systems, what our volunteers, their drone systems that have some great technology attached to them. What other air assets? Earlier today, our chopper was out here, our helicopter. So we're throwing as much ground and air assets as we can at this. And now I hear our airplane somewhere out there.
Yes, he said that it was a rarity that homicide would be out there. You're welcome, honey. I know a lot of people hasn't seen this, and it's so important because this is the first time he ever speaks on this. And he said it was just grave enough of a concern.
No, I just, like I say, I know that this is going to get some attention, but
I know this is going to get some of attention.
I just hope that we can find her, that somebody might know something, that they say something. Let us know what you would. And the call is our 911 center or 881.
The concerning evidence.
You can't hear him here.
Once the detectives complete their investigation, maybe then we can see some of that. But right now, we're at the very initial stages of it.
At the very initial stages.
Search mission started early today. We'll continue that. We're not giving up that. But it does change its platform because of the nightfall, right? The criminal part of this, the criminal investigation part, is ongoing, and it will continue ongoing until we can resolve this.
Thank you.
Okay. Let's see, we had our search and rescue, our PSAR, our search and rescue association, volunteers, literally hundreds of people out here and searching the area for those dogs that and still no signs. We've let's see, we've checked with all the local area hospitals, continue to check. Support teams.
This was February 1st.
I think what's concerning is what's at the scene, at the home, is of concern to us. So much so we've decided we're going to call out our homicide team.
You heard that. You heard that. What's concerning it?
What's concerning is what's at the scene, at the
What's at the scene at the home
is of concern to us.
Is of concern to us.
So much so we've decided we're going to call out our homicide team.
So much so we've decided we're going to call out our homicide.
And so they're here. They'll process the home, do what they can there. And again, as we speak now, our plane was up just a minute ago. Those things are happening. But that'll transition to a daylight search again tomorrow. We'll continue that.
Yeah, that's where I got it, Deborah.
We're not giving up that.
But it's not loud.
The community help us. If you've seen Miss Guthrie, give us a call. Call our 911 or 88 crime. But we're just kind of working it from two angles. The criminal investigation side will continue at the house.
Criminal investigation side. It was the family, the friend called the family went to check, and the family called 911.
Right, we're looking through processing that and see what we can learn from that, and we'll just keep going.
Does the search for her continue tonight?
Absolutely, yeah, we'll continue that. At some point in time, they've got to transition and settle down, but they've been out all day, like I say, since noon. Nightfall, it's a different type of search, so we change teams and transition then. I'm going to guess that here in a while that night team will move on, and we'll come back at it again tomorrow morning. They reassess it and look at where could they have missed.
And just because the homicide team's involved doesn't mean this is a homicide.
No, there's no. What we're saying is there's some things there that are concerning to us, and we just don't want to miss anything. Search and rescue, their
Things are there that are concerning that we don't want to miss anything.
mission is we want to find you. We want to find you safe and sound and help you and get you there. That still continues. But we have an obligation to when you look at things in this world of ours, you look at that and you go, is something wrong here? Is there something missing? We can't just dismiss that. We need to stay on it.
Anything else?
There's something wrong here. We can't ignore it. We got to stay on it. Very interesting. Very interesting. I don't know. We'll continue to see, guys. We'll continue to see. Guys, I'm at 3.5 hours. I'm going to end it here. You guys are all amazing. Thank you all so very much for everything. I hope Nancy is found. Again, I don't think she'll be found alive. I would be very, very surprised if she is. But regardless, she needs found, and there needs to be some justice for her and her family. I don't know if did they turn EquiSearch away? Thank you, MS Mama. Thank you, guys. Thank you. my camera. Okay, my camera's trying to give out or something. I think my battery's dying. Love you guys. Appreciate you. See you guys in the next one. Good night. God bless.